yesterday, Ireland played the second game of Stephen Kenny's reign as head coach. We played Finland at the Aviva and we lost 1-0. We had salvaged a draw against Bulgaria in midweek when Shane Dunphy scored from a set piece in injury time. Yesterday, at home to Finland, we lost 1-0, and I'm joined now by John Giles to discuss the two games, really. But after two games, John, Stephen has obviously experimented a lot.
Yeah.
He's had a look at various players. There are players who didn't get much game time. David Mcgoldrick, because he wasn't 100% fit. And James McLean, for example. After two games, what do you see on the positive side, and what do you see on the negative side?
Well, I think in the situation that Stephen is in, I wouldn't have expected much more than we've had. Obviously, you want the results to be better, but in my experience of it, my take on it is that a manager in the situation that he is in needs 6 games, Eamon.
Yes.
At least 6 games to know what your best team is.
Yeah.
And at the moment, everything, you have to experiment then, because you have ideas in your head. I think I told you, from my time in experience manager went to West Brom, I had certain ideas in my head, which proved after 6, 7, 8 matches even, totally wrong.
Yeah.
Totally wrong. So you'd have to give Stephen this particular time. You see, when Martin O'Neill first took over, Eamon, he was in a very fortunate position. I think we had 7 or 8 or even 9 friendly matches before we played our first competitive match.
Yes.
So what's happening with Stephen, obviously you want better results, but I'm not surprised at what he has to find out and what he has to come to conclusion as to what is his best team.
Yeah, and I would make the same point rather differently in this sense. It would be easy to come in as a new coach, and if results were the priority, you could set a team up to make sure, particularly playing Bulgaria and Finland, to make sure that you gave up no goals, are hard to beat, and you play your most experienced players, but you wouldn't learn very much that we didn't know before.
No, that's what he has to do. I mean, that's what you have to do in that particular situation. You have preconceived ideas, like we don't like.
Yes.
If I said to you the other day, you said to me, pick your team for the first match. I'd pick a team that I thought was the best team.
Yeah.
But I guarantee you, both of us would say, no, that wasn't right.
Yeah.
That wasn't right. That was right. And that's and unfortunately for Stephen, he's in the competitive matches. I know they're not the World Cup and that, but they are competitive matches that we hope and want him to get results in. So there's a bit of pressure on him there to do that. And there'll always be pressure on managers. But I've no doubt, I've learned from it, you've learned from it, and Stephen, most importantly, I think, has learned from the two matches. The big point, Eamon, I would make from this, there's been a lot of controversy about Coleman not playing with Doherty in his place. I think actually he's making a mistake there.
Yes.
Because Doherty, when he plays for Wolves, is a wing back, Eamon.
Yes, they play with
entitled.
Yes, they play with 3 at the back and 2 wing backs.
And wing backs. And the wing backs have the freedom to go and attack whenever they want, especially when it's down the right side in Doherty's place. Now, when he's playing for Ireland in the last 2 matches, he's not playing as a wing back. He's playing as a full back.
Yes.
And there's a huge difference in it.
Massive.
Because you don't have the freedom to go and look for goals, as he does pretty well for Wolverhampton Wanderers, and you're doing with the Irish team. You just can't do it. You don't have the freedom to do that when you're a fullback. So I think that's a big thing that has to be rectified. He either has to play as a fullback or Seamus Coleman has to come back into the team. My take is that Seamus Coleman should be playing. He is a fullback and he gets forward at the right time. I think Doherty's a very, very good player, doing what he does for Wolverhampton, but he's asked to do a totally different job for the Irish team.
Yeah, without the freedom, as you say, to go forward, to drift forward, to ghost in at the far post, and that's where he gets most of his goals. He's a very good footballer. However, we're not playing with wing backs. And Seamus Coleman is an outstanding defender. He does push forward from fullback actually, and he's fine. But I agree with you. I think playing with a back four, you have to pick Seamus Coleman, but you can't be too hard on Stephen for having the courage to try. In other words, it takes courage to leave your captain on the bench, to play Doherty in a position that he's unfamiliar with because he doesn't play in a back four. And looking at him, I've always worried, John, that he didn't have defenders' instincts. And for the finished goal yesterday, when I look back on it, he's running out with his hand up for offside. He's in front of the three other back four players, and the guy who makes the run in behind is the guy that you'd expect him to be picking up.
Well, I think what happened there as well, Eamon, he wasn't the only one to. I see in the paper too that Stephen is playing a high line. I know this was very, very near the goal. There shouldn't have been any high line involved at all.
Yeah.
And I think what happened, I think Dunphy said after I read the papers over the weekend that he was very tired. I think they were all tired, I think, Eamon.
Yes.
And what they did was a real tired player's attitude to the situation they were in to give the goal away. Because I think they all ran out, but Doherty led the line in getting out to let the fella in for the goal in that particular way.
Yeah, and of course, to track a runner, you have to have legs. And it's the lazy way, but it was a bad goal to give away. Enda Stevens, who I thought had two really very poor yesterday. Now he's a very good player for Sheffield United.
Yes,
he's top class. I thought he was sloppy all day yesterday, and he was at the far post, and really should have been getting a touch to put that out for a corner.
Yeah, it was just a whole. It seemed to be. I think Stephen is encouraging him to play the high line, Eamon.
Yes.
And in this situation, I think with the players being a bit tired, it would have been the easy option to get out rather than try and defend it, which was a mistake. But I think when they do. They haven't had any game time, Eamon, any of them really.
No, they're all in pre-season, and you're not match fit, actually. And I think, I wonder if you'd agree, I'm sure we've talked about this before. Even when the season starts, it takes you 5 or 6 games to be really match fit, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, it took me longer, Eamon.
Yeah.
I never felt really, really fit until after about 10 or 12 games. Yeah. But I'm only trying to explain trying to get in Stephen's head, which is impossible to get inside anybody's head, in what he's doing, Eamon. I wouldn't be worried about the results. I'd be worried about the results after another 6 to 7 matches.
Yeah.
Where you'd say, right, he's had time to pick the team. He's seen the players. No, he's not going to do it. He's going to, and I'd come to the conclusion, this is my best team.
Yes.
And that takes time, and it takes time for anybody.
Yeah.
To do it.
Okay, let's ask about the midfield, John. I've just passing before we do that to pay tribute to Darren Randolph, the goalkeeper. We played a high line, gave up a real chance for Pookie, who's a good goal scorer at Norwich, as we know, after about 9 minutes in the game. And Darren came out, made a brilliant save again. He saved us twice in Bulgaria by being alert off his line. He's a terrific goalkeeper, isn't he? And
he's excellent, Damon. Yeah. He's done his stuff really well. I felt sorry for him. Actually, I felt sorry for him in Bulgaria. Yeah. Because I think when the lad went through, I don't think he meant to do what he actually did, which was to put the ball through his legs.
Yeah, well, when you come out and you spread yourself, as you should do, it's always liable to go through your legs.
Always a chance of happening. Yeah, he's been terrific, I mean. I think he's only second choice, isn't he, at West Ham?
He's at West Ham behind Fabianski, but he was at loan at Middlesbrough, I think. He's a top-class goalkeeper.
He was there permanently, I think, at Middlesbrough, Eamon.
Was he? Yeah.
Yeah. He was there permanently and did a really good job for them. But he's a top-class goalkeeper. There's no doubt about that. He's really done well for us, really well.
Now, John, the midfield was completely changed. Hourihane, Hendrick and James McCarthy were left out from the team that played in Bulgaria, and Harry Arter, Jason Malumbi and Robbie Brady came in. Now, I thought, well, it's what you think first. I thought Harry Arter did really well. I really thought Malumbi worked very hard and diligently and wanted to get on the ball, and I thought Robbie Brady did okay. That goes against the grain of most of the correspondence I'm reading this morning. And I don't think you were too enamoured by Arthur because we were talking to each other during the game. What about those midfield changes, John?
Well, I think he was, again, trying people out.
Yes.
Which is quite right to do. I would have had Arthur and Brady in the team anyway. That would have been my first choice, but we'll learn as we go along. I think Arthur is capable of doing a good job in his own way.
Yeah.
What's missing in the midfield actually is the old midfield general to get on the ball.
Yeah.
We don't have many of them around at the moment. So I think Arthur's a very good player of what he does, but he when he was getting on the ball in that central position, it was very predictable. It was A to B, mostly sideways, mostly going back. I don't think he has that in him to get on the ball and really do what needs to be done. Now, I think our best bet for that is Brady himself.
Yeah.
Now, I would have Arthur and Brady as two central midfield players, Eamon. Because Brady played to the left, sort of out on the left. I think Brady on the ball has more vision than any of the other players that we have available to us.
Yeah.
I think Arthur's a good digger. I think there'd be a good combination between them. And Brady can pick the passes out. Now, that's what I think in my head.
Yeah.
But again, I'd like to see that on the pitch. And if we saw that on the pitch, I might say to you after half hour, this is no good. This is not working.
Yeah.
So it's all we're guessing at the moment. I think Arthur's good, but that would be my midfield. I'd actually have McLean on the left-hand side.
Yes. Yeah.
I'd have Dowd in the right. I know he's injured at the moment. I'd have a Dowd on the right, Arthur, Brady, and McLean across the middle of the field.
Right.
That'd be my. Now you'd have to see them play, but we have seen McLean play, like on that particular side of the pitch.
Yeah, no, he's got. He ticks some important boxes. He's a very good crosser of the ball. He worries fullbacks. He's aggressive. He's got a very big heart. He'll track back if he has to. And he's a very experienced player at this stage in his career. Let me ask you then about Aaron Connolly. Now, I'll tell you what I think first, then you could shoot me down. I like him when I saw him at Brighton, and everything I've seen of him I like. He's quick, he gets goals, scored a couple of goals for Brighton against Spurs actually, early in his time in the first team there. I think his attitude is great, except he's a bit given to diving unnecessarily. However, I don't really think where he's playing on the left is a position that he can do well in. I wonder what you think about him and what you think, where you think you might get him into the team if you wanted to play him.
I think he's very good, Eamon. I would definitely have him in the team.
Yeah.
I would have him up front.
Yeah.
Alongside one of the big guys, whether we had him or Robinson or Shane Long. I would definitely have him as a first choice in the team.
Right.
I wouldn't play him as wide as he's played. I'd give him the freedom of being in the central position up front, playing off the centre forward, where he could go either left or right to get on the balls more. I think when he's on the left wing, he's tied down a bit and he's waiting for the ball to be delivered to him.
Yeah.
I think if you play him in the middle, then he's the freedom to go right or left.
Yeah.
He's energetic. He's good. He's good skill, he's good vision. He got to the end line there the other day. One of the matches pulled it back. I would definitely have him in the team. I think he is one for the future. Definitely.
Yeah, I do too, and I'm inclined to agree with you that down the middle is where he might really do a job. And he's played there. I've seen him play there for Brighton, and we have David Mcgoldrick to come back. Now, David, I think he's a really good player, John. He's had a very good season for Sheffield United in the Premier League. He's been injured and just come on for the last few minutes yesterday. But he's a player, a very experienced and very gifted player. He doesn't get a lot of goals, not prolific goal scorer, but a very important player. He links up the play very well. Adam Ida from Norwich City. Again, I'll tell you what I thought. I liked him on Wednesday, although he didn't get much joy. He was always showing. The ball sticks when it goes up to him. His control is good and he's hungry. I liked him. And I liked him even more yesterday. I think he's a great attitude. He's skillful lad. He's confident. I think he can beat people. So I think he's really a very exciting young player. And I know from his time at the under-21s with Stephen, he's a goal scorer as well. I liked him. Maybe you wouldn't start him against Slovakia, but I wouldn't be worried if they did.
No, what I see of him, I like Eamon, and I don't think he's had any good backup to him. No. I think he's up front on his own. He hasn't been having didn't know how to get a good service on it, and obviously I'd like to see more of him. To know that when he does get a good service, he can really do it. It looks to me like he can do it. I think him and Connolly would be my two at the moment.
Right.
Mcgoldrick, you mentioned, if O'Dowd is injured, I'd play Mcgoldrick on the right side of midfield with Mcgoldrick, Arthur Brady and McLean. I'd have him in the team.
Yeah.
If I'd like to see more of the young lad Ida up front.
Yeah.
I mean, because he, as I say, he hasn't had any service. He struggled to get it when he and. What I'd just like to clear in my own head is that he can do it when he does get the service and the time.
Yes, yeah.
I haven't seen him yet with the service.
No.
But he looks like he can. He looks to me like he can do it. I'd just like to see more of him given the service to confirm that, yes, he can definitely do it if he gets the service.
Yeah, he's 19. So, he's at Norwich. He hasn't played in the Premier League, I don't believe. But he's a player for the future. And these two games that Stephen has had is giving these lads their cap, which is a big day in anyone's life, even if there's no crowd, to play for your country for the first time is an enormous day. Malumbi as well, John. I like him. He's a worker. He puts pressure on the ball. Not really a playmaker, but a very, very sort of industrious midfield player. He's doing something or trying to do something all the time. So again, I'd be say that's the kind of player you want in your squad, and no problem if he has to play.
Yeah, it's funny enough, Eamon, what he did well. But to be quite honest, I don't know what position he was playing in. You know, I don't know where he was playing. Anytime I saw him, he was much further forward of midfield than I saw as a midfield player, and not forward enough as a forward. I don't know where he was. And what he did well.
Yeah.
But he didn't get a lot of the ball. I don't know where he was. He didn't play. I would have loved to see him drop a bit deeper.
Yes.
And get on the ball more in midfield. Now, it looked like to me that he was told not to do that. That he was playing in what they say now the number 10 position. Which is in front of the midfield players, which I think is a terrible position for anybody to get on the ball in that particular way.
Yeah, he doesn't look like that kind of player to me, John. He looks like a midfield player to me, like a grafter.
Grafter, get back and get on the ball now. And I don't remember him being in a deep position at any stage. And there was times I was looking for him.
Yeah.
You know, I was saying, where is he?
Yeah.
Because when he got on the ball, he looked useful. He hit a couple of lovely passes, and he can obviously distribute the ball. But to be honest, I couldn't tell you. I couldn't give you an opinion on what sort of a player he was. I didn't see enough of him.
Now, so we're left with a couple of things I want to put to you. In the two games, I don't think we had a shot on target in Bulgaria, and I don't really think there was much threat to Finland's goal yesterday either. And now, admittedly, it's very hard to play at the Aviva with no people there. Big cavern of a place. And I think the home team always needs that sort of support and the vibe, the atmosphere. But leaving that aside, we're a bit sterile going forward. And the other thing we talked about, we got it right chasing in the first half, John. This lad, Glenn Kamara, playing for Finland in midfield. He ran the game. They played with two wing backs. We didn't know how to deal with that in the first half. And I said to you, this is a test for Stephen, because at halftime he's going to have to address this problem of how to deal with their numbers, really. And he did. We came out and there was more intensity in the second half. But they looked useful, and we gave them loads of time on the ball. We didn't close them down as much as we could have in the first half. That improved. Just on
we played bad in the second half, Dave. In the first half, they played, but they did have a midfield player, as you say, in that Kamara, who could get on the ball and connect back to front.
Yes.
You see, if you look at it, I think on Saturday and the other matches, it's statistically, we had more possession of the ball than they did.
Yeah.
But it's sideways and backwards, Eamon.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like this lad get on the ball, Kamara, and what you do as a midfield player, you try and get turned around as quick as you can, and you connect back to front.
Yes.
Now, when we get it at the back and it goes to Arthur, for example, it goes to Arthur, it stays at the back or square.
Yeah.
You know, you got to go. You got to get in. It's no good keeping possession of the ball for the sake of possession of the ball and say the stats afterward. We had more possession of the ball, so therefore we were the better team. Now, I'm not saying Stephen said that. He didn't say that, but certain people do. That's not the game. I mean, sometimes you give much less possession, and you hit one ball that connects back to front that you can score from, instead of in the middle of the field, 10 passes to the right, 10 passes to the left, 10 passes to the back. That's okay for the stats. But stats don't win your matches, and they had the difference between them and us on Finland is that they had two midfield players.
One stat wins your matches. Ireland 3, Finland 1. No, that's a stat. No,
that's just stats. Yeah, but you see that Kamara, for example.
Yeah, very
really good. He was going past people, and that's what you have to have in the middle of the field. And again, if you look at the midfield in the last two matches we played, I can't remember any of our midfield players actually beaten.
No.
Another midfield, the opposition, the opposing midfield player.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like if they get on the ball and you go, okay, keep possession, give it to the left back, get it back, give it to the right back in there. Instead, sometimes in the midfield, like they had that Kamara, when it was one-on-one, he could go past the player. And once you go past the player in midfield, Eamon, now you really open them up.
Yes.
But I can't remember one of our players, if you go through them all, actually going past an opposing midfield player.
No, and that's going to be...
Stats are good, keep possession, that's okay. That's okay. But sometimes, like the two teams we played against actually had less possession than we had, particularly Finland. And were much more dangerous when they did have it.
Interestingly enough, John, we were remarking on how poor we thought Bulgaria were in our Wednesday night game or Thursday night game. Wales only beat them in injury time with an injury time goal, and Wales have some, really top class players, including Gareth Bale. But just a final point, John, about the task that Stephen Kenny faces and how he's approached it. It's very important to see as much of your players as you can, to see them on the training ground, to get to know them as people, and then to see how they react in a game, whether they take responsibility when you need them to take responsibility. All of these things are, and it would be easy if it was all about results in the first two games, to just, I'm sure he knows how to get a result, stick out a team that's going to graft and da. But what he's trying to do is change the culture, much as you did when you came in and brought in Liam Brady and Frank Stable, these people, to change the culture of a side, to get a passing game going, it takes time. And as an international team manager, time is a luxury you don't really have most of the time. So would you agree with that?
Oh, definitely. I mean, he needs time.
Yeah.
You know, even if he'd won these 2 matches, say 3-0, 3-0,
yeah,
right? He would have learned something.
Yeah.
He would have learned something, but he wouldn't have learned everything.
No, and he wouldn't have changed the culture, which is what he's trying to do.
No, you don't change the culture in 2 matches, Eamon.
No. Now, a final.
You just can't. Nobody, God above, couldn't do that. So Stephen needs the time. You've got to give him. You'd start judging Stephen after about 6 matches, Eamon. First of all, he's got to know in his own head and convince in his own head what's the best team. What is his best team?
Yes,
that takes matches. And unfortunately, we've got in sort of a competitive match, but it'll take time. It'll take Stephen, I'd say, 6 matches to know this really is my best team.
Right.
It takes that time, Eamon, because somebody goes on one match and he has a good game, but he's not really doing what you want him to do. You know, you think, well, oh yeah, he's good. Then you see him in the next match, overall 2 or 3 matches, not quite what I want.
Yeah.
And that'll take time. And whether it be Stephen or anybody else, that's the situation he's in. And I think everybody has got to give him that particular time.
Right. A final point, 2 final points. Seamus Coleman should be in the team, John, in my opinion. And the high line is deadly unless you have an awful lot of time. I mean, Liverpool and Bayern Munich, for example, both play with a high line now. And even with them, it can look disastrous. And they're together 24 hours a day, 365. So with guys who are just getting used to each other, it can be a disaster. And it wasn't. It was the worst aspect of Ireland's play in the 2 games. There was no coherence in it. They weren't getting up together. I wasn't sure who was making the calls, and it cost us a goal yesterday. And that's got to go too, or at least it's got to be refined.
Yeah, well, that's a decision that Stephen has to make.
Yeah.
You know, like there's two conversations we've had. It's who's the best players and who you have to be the best players. That's one thing. Then the manager's philosophy is another thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know Stephen that well, but I don't care who it is. I don't agree with the high line.
Yeah.
At all.
No.
I think you should defend and defend deeply when you've had to defend deeply.
Yeah.
And I think the high line is it gave him a chance.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Up. Are we going to catch them offside or not?
I adopt the high line when the Italians do. You can't see Chiellini and those boys running out with their hands up.
Yeah, copy them.
Yeah, exactly.
Who's the best record at it? But and I'm not accusing this, but things become fashionable. Accusing Stephen of anything, I'm sure he's got a mind of his own. But things become fashionable football, as we know, Eamon.
Yeah.
And when you see a team like Liverpool doing what they do now, but they have the players to do it, and they play in a certain way. I still don't agree with them doing what they do.
Yeah.
But they've better players than anybody else, and they'll get away with it more than anybody else. I don't, as a philosophy on football, I don't see it. And I think that it's funny enough, I mean, under Mick McCarthy, the best thing we've had under Mick McCarthy is the back 5.
Yes.
We've conceded very, 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 very few goals.
Yeah. And even under Martin O'Neill.
Yeah.
Even under
and
O'Neill.
Mick McCarthy particularly, in the last few matches we played, if you look at our goals against, it's been brilliant.
Yeah.
And that tells you we didn't play a high line with Mick McCarthy. Definitely not. And the reason we didn't concede the goals, in my opinion, is because we weren't playing a high line.
Yeah. Okay, John, it's great to talk to you, and thank you very much for joining us.